Hello, this is Robert Rickover. I'm an Alexander Technique teacher in Omaha, Nebraska, and my guest is Imogen Ragone, an Alexander Technique teacher in Wilmington, Delaware. And this is going to be a very short conversation, and it's a little bit about constructive rest, which is something that is a pretty important part of the Alexander technique. There are different versions of it, but typically you're lying on your back on a firmish surface, could be a yoga mat, whatever. You have some support under your head and your knees are bent. They may be bent with your feet on the ground, or they may be looped over something, or they may be up on a chair or cow. You've just elevated your knees with respect to your torso, basically, right? For that. And it has all kinds of beneficial effects. And after you've done it for a while, you can use constructive rest as a platform for exploring directions if you want, Alexander directions or all. You can do movements when you're in constructive rest and be able to examine them with a certain, maybe more easily than if you're actually on your feet, that sort of thing. That's all well known. But I've been thinking a lot about legs and the fact that your legs have to kind of work together for things to work well when you're standing and walking. And yet, if you look at the system, unlike with your hands, your arms, where you could bring your hands together easily and move both your arms. I'm just sort of illustrating. You could move your arms around together, and that could be a useful little exercise to kind of get them in touch with each other, right? There isn't really anything like that until now for legs. And if you think about the time, like what one foot is sensing is probably of some background interest to the other foot. But to get that information to the other foot, it's got to travel all the way up your leg, through your pelvis, whatever, and then down. That's a long ways. And it's not instantaneous. It's fast, but it's not instantaneous. There's a lag. Whereas when you put your hands together and move your arms around, there's not really no lag, right? Very little lag, if any. Just so. So one solution I came up
I'm just wondering where you're going with
we're
this.
going, we're going. I started experimenting with using those kind of small exercise balls. They're usually somewhat soft. They have some give. They're usually, I don't know, about half a foot or so in diameter, kind of. People recommend them for all kinds of things. Some people like to lie on the balls. I mean, there are all kinds of potential uses for them. But a potential use I've discovered is if you're in constructive rest, you place the ball between your knees and you could experiment with one knee pushing towards the other pushing back. Maybe they're pushing together. You're kind of connecting the lower parts of your legs together in a way that they would not normally be. And I've been playing around a lot with that, and it's kind of fun to explore. And I'm just putting it out there as maybe a useful add-on to constructive rest. I wouldn't do it when you're first doing constructive rest, but after you've done it, you're comfortable with it. Get a ball like that. Be nice if it had some give. But if you only had like a tennis ball, that would be okay too. You're just putting pressure on different sides, maybe together. You're kind of getting your legs to do things together. You can bring both legs off to one side, for example, or up towards you with that connection. And to me, that seems like it sort of wakes up each leg's um, sharpens maybe each leg's
So you could
connection with the
bring
other.
your knees and ankles together and
You
let
can
them
move,
actually touch,
you
but
can do that
you
with
would
your, yeah,
lose some
yeah, you can. You can
something.
do that with, and with your feet and your ankles, you can. I think it's a lot better if there's something between your knees, though. You
Well,
get,
you maintain a little bit of, so you're not having to squeeze together. Um,
well, and
I
one
think
thing,
with the ball or something between, it would be a little nicer on your hips and your thighs and
it may be just the thing to strengthen your adductors a little, but um, the I've sort of, the idea is that you're sort of getting, it becomes very easy with the ball between your knees to move, to rotate both legs together.
move them in.
And another thing you can do related is lie there with the ball between your knees and see how little you have to do for the ball to remain there.
That would be
So
an
that there's
interesting
very
one.
little
Yeah.
doing,
Mhm.
minimal doing. And I think it just sort of wakes up coordination between the legs and between the feet, especially the lower parts of your legs. They have,
Mhm.
does take a long time, not a long time, but it's a significant time gap between one foot knowing what the other one's doing. So that's just a quick thought on a possible constructive rest add-on. And again, as we
Yeah.
always say, it'd be great if anyone wants to experiment with it and tell us their results or have questions about it. Anything you want to add?
Well, I'll have to find a ball to experiment. Would
Do
a
you have
soccer
one? Do you
ball
have
be?
one? You have one like about
I
that?
don't have the exact size that you're talking about. Would a soccer ball be too big?
Soccer ball's probably too big. I mean,
So
these,
something kind of between a tennis ball and a soccer ball would be
I'd
ideal
say a
sort of
tennis ball
size.
might work okay. I think a baseball would not be good. It's just too hard.
Too
But a
hard.
tennis
Hmm.
ball, but it's something that was maybe bigger than a tennis ball and had even a little more give. There
Yeah.
are balls that are
I know
specific.
what you mean. I just don't
Yeah,
have any of those. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All
So
right. Well, that was a surprise.
I I want to keep you on your toes. All right.
All right.
Anything else you want to say?
No, just the constructive rest is a great place to play with anything like that when you're keeping your back and your head supported, and then you can play with movement with
Oh,
your
the
arms and legs.
opportunities are
So,
really unlimited with
yeah,
constructive rest. Once I tell my students just do it for a week or two and don't just lie there and don't try to
don't
do
worry about
anything
it.
special. But once you become comfortable doing it, there's just a zillion things you can do, experiment with in that position. Okay, so thank you, Imogen. My guest has been Imogen Ragone, an Alexander teacher in Wilmington, Delaware. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.